Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode, I'm going to be recapping the newest Marvel film as of time of recording, which is Thunderbolts, which was originally released on the 2nd of May 2025, and I'm recording this episode just over a month later on the 13th of June 2025. Please go and check out all of my other recaps. And obviously we had the big finish episode earlier on today. But because this recap is 4 pages long, and I don't know how long it's going to take to record, here is my recap of Thunderbolts. We start off with the Marvel Studios logo. Yelena believes she's broken. Yelena mentions Natasha's death. Yelena jumps from an extremely tall building. Yelena fights with multiple people. Yelena talks to someone she has tied up. Yelena talks to a guinea pig. Someone points a gun at Yelena. This person mentions Valentina. Yelena mentions the US government. Yelena attacks the person who points the gun at her. Yelena throws something. The person who threatened Yelena with a gun kills himself. A massive explosion occurs. Multiple people scream. Yelena is on the phone to someone. Multiple people question Bucky. Bucky mentions Brooklyn. Valentina is in court. Valentina mentions President Ross turning into Red Hulk during Captain America Brave New World. Valentina allows to be continually investigated. Valentina mentions federal prison. Someone informs Valentina that one of her agents' current location is unknown. Alexi is watching TV. Alexi seems to be expecting a delivery. Alexi works out that Yelena is the person attempting to see him. Alexi quickly tidies up his house. Alexi allows Yelena into his house. Yelena asks Alexi about his work. Alexi corrects Yelena. Yelena mentions Valentina. Yelena is considering quitting her association with Valentina. Alexi asks Yelena for Valentina's phone number. Yelena refuses to do this. Alexi admits to lying to Yelena. Yelena ignores one of Alexi's comments. Yelena calls Valentina. Valentina agrees to Yelena's conditions for continuing to work for her. Valentina informs Yelena of her next job. Yelena steals a photo. Yelena and John fight. John reveals his target is Yelena. Taskmaster attacks John. John and Taskmaster fight. Ghost fights John, Taskmaster, and Yelena. Ghost kills Taskmaster. Yelena, John, and Ghost point their guns at Bob. Bob introduces himself to Ghost, John, and Yelena. Bucky is at a party, as is Valentina. Valentina disagrees with someone. Bucky speaks to Valentina's assistant. Valentina's assistant sees through Bucky. Bucky gives Valentina's assistant his business card. Yelena mentions Valentina. Ghost, Yelena, and John work out that Valentina tricked them. John lists Taskmaster, Ghost, and Yelena's previous actions. Ghost insults John. Ghost mentions an event from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. John mentions his wife and son. Yelena and Ghost laugh at John. John insults Bob. Ghost attempts to leave but is unsuccessful in achieving this. The person who disagreed with Valentina talks to Bucky. Bucky mentions Valentina's assistant. Bucky warns the person he is talking to about Valentina. Bucky insults Congress. Valentina's assistant updates Valentina. Yelena mentions respect. John, Yelena, and Ava learn that the building is going to explode in 1 minute. John insults Bob. John destroys something using his shield. John, Ava, and Yelena narrowly avoid death. Someone is searching for Yelena. Yelena watches her younger self complete her first ever mission. Bob, Yelena, Ava, and John return to normal. John thanks Ava. Yelena checks in with Bob. Valentina's assistant informs Valentina that Yelena, Ava, and John have escaped and joined forces against her. Valentina insults Ava, John, and Yelena. Valentina asks her assistant to do something. Alexi was the driver who drove the car that Valentina and her assistant were in. Ava and John question Bob. Bob insults John. John threatens Bob. Yelena stops John from attacking Bob. Yelena insults John. Bob proposes that John, Yelena, and Ava abandon him. Yelena mentions loneliness. Yelena reveals how she handles her feelings and emotions. John believes he has found a way for him, Bob, Yelena, and Ava to escape. Bucky answers a call from Mel, who is Valentina's assistant. Bucky reattaches his bionic arm. Mel mentions the Avengers. Bucky asks Mel to testify against Valentina. Mel mentions Bucky's time as the Winter Soldier. John injures himself while trying to find a way out. Bob proposes an idea. Bob apologizes to Yelena. Ava describes her suit. Ava asks John to be quiet. Yelena mentions how horrible her childhood was. Valentina's assistant and Valentina learn some information about Bob. Bob mentions his fear of heights. John yells at Bob. Yelena believes John is going to abandon her. Bob and Ava. John goes rogue and chooses his plan whilst Yelena saves Bob. Ava insults John. John watches his past self with his wife and son. Past John raises his voice at Olivia. Past John storms off. John returns to normal. Yelena checks in with John. Yelena reveals her issues with John being in charge. John lists his previous achievements. Yelena also does this. Yelena details a new plan. Ava disappears. Yelena activates something. Valentina informs Holt to only use non-lethal force. Yelena refuses to give Bob a gun. Yelena attempts to reassure Bob until she informs him that she isn't really trustworthy. Some of Yelena's plan fails. Yelena asks Bob to follow her. Yelena and Bob hear multiple noises. Bob and Yelena attempt to hide from the soldiers. Yelena fights the soldiers while attempting to protect Bob. Yelena apologizes to someone. John and Yelena raise their voices at each other. John, Bob, Ava and Yelena successfully escape from the building. Bob causes a distraction to give Yelena, Ava and John time to escape. Bob is shot at repeatedly. Valentina orders the soldiers to stop. Bob is still alive. Bob seems to be able to fly. Valentina asks Mel to do multiple things. An explosion occurs. John agrees with Yelena's belief of Valentina. Yelena, Ava and John learn some of what Valentina was up to. John reveals his motto. Yelena mocks John. Yelena and John discuss Dr. Phil. Valentina compliments Mel. Valentina mentions Mel. Valentina asks Mel to remove Yelena, John and Ava. Yelena, Ava and John duck from something. Alexei embarrasses Yelena. Alexei mentions Valentina. Alexei reveals why he picked up John, Yelena and Ava. John insults Alexei's driving. Alexei mentions Captain America. Yelena corrects Alexei. John names him Ava and Yelena with Alexei the Thunderbolts. Yelena believes the Thunderbolts need to hide. Alexei attempts to motivate Ava, John and Yelena. Yelena mentions Valentina. John notices something. John asks Alexei to drive faster, as does Yelena. The car Alexei, Yelena, Ava and John are in is being shot at. The car's back window is destroyed. Alexei drinks some alcohol. A fire occurs. Another of the car's windows is destroyed. Yelena shoots at the car. The car is now no longer a car. Alexei recognises Bucky as the Winter Soldier. Bucky seems to help the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts celebrate. Bucky injures the Thunderbolts' car. The person who previously disagreed with Valentina believes Valentina will soon be in prison. Mel reveals what Bob was like before his treatment with Valentina. Valentina introduces herself to Bob. Valentina fills in Bob. Valentina mentions Yelena. Valentina reveals her thoughts on the Thunderbolts. Valentina compliments Bob. Valentina lists some events from Bob's past. Valentina observes an event from her past. Valentina returns to the present. Valentina asks Bob to give her a minute. Bob believes he can control his powers. Valentina wants Mel to organise a press conference for her. Mel mentions Steve Rogers becoming Captain America. Mel insults Bob. Valentina asks Mel to do something whilst threatening him. Alexei, Yelena, Ava and John have been tied up. Bucky mentions Valentina's trial. John, Ava and Yelena fill in Bucky about the events of this film so far. Yelena mentions Project Sentry. John refers to Bucky as his official title as part of Congress. Bucky mentions John's wife leaving him and taking their son. The Thunderbolts seem to annoy Bucky. Bucky insults the Thunderbolts. Bucky receives another call from Mel. Mel updates Bucky about Bob's condition. Bucky sets free the Thunderbolts. Bucky gives the Thunderbolts some advice. Yelena reveals her plan. The rest of the Thunderbolts agree with Yelena's plan. Alexei celebrates this. Valentina asks Mel a question. Valentina corrects Mel. Valentina attempts to help Bob control his powers. Valentina manipulates Bob. Yelena and John discuss their weapons. Alexei asks Bucky about the super soldier serum. Bucky mentions Hydra. Alexei believes he and Bucky are very similar. Alexei proposes he and Bucky be co-leaders of the Thunderbolts. Bucky drives a van through a door with the Thunderbolts and himself inside. The Thunderbolts fight multiple people. Valentina summons the Thunderbolts. Bucky threatens Valentina. Valentina insults Bucky's political career. Valentina and Yelena insult each other. Valentina insults Alexei. Alexei introduces himself to Valentina. Bucky asks Valentina about Mel's whereabouts. Valentina summons Bob. Bob now has a suit. Valentina introduces the Thunderbolts to Sentry. Ava notices Bob's change in hair colour. Valentina compliments Bucky. Valentina reveals her plan. Valentina asks Bob to kill the Thunderbolts. Bob wants the Thunderbolts to turn themselves in. Valentina continues to lie to Bob whilst Yelena tries to remind Bob of their previous encounter. Bob doesn't believe Yelena. Alexei attacks Sentry. Sentry makes short work of Alexei. The Thunderbolts fight Bob. John protects Bucky. Bob breaks John's shield. Yelena asks Bob to stop. Bob separates Bucky from his bionic arm. Bob refuses to kill the Thunderbolts. Bob questions Valentina. John and Alexei argue. Yelena gives the other Thunderbolts a reality check. Ava and Yelena insult each other. Alexei goes after Yelena. Valentina insults the Thunderbolts. Bob mentions the Avengers. Valentina attempts to stop Bob but is unsuccessful. Mel saves Valentina by shooting Bob. Mel asks for a pay increase. Yelena asks Alexei to leave her alone. Alexei apologizes to Yelena. Alexei attempts to explain himself to Yelena. Yelena mentions her loneliness. Alexei asks Yelena to stop spiraling. Yelena mentions the Red Room. Alexei attempts to make Yelena feel better. Alexei wants to be reliable. Mel fills in Valentina about something happening right now. Someone shoots at Bob. Yelena realizes something is wrong. Bob seems to be able to erase people. A helicopter crashes. Part of a building is destroyed. Yelena follows Alexei. The Thunderbolts save multiple people. The Thunderbolts work together to save someone. The Thunderbolts are applauded. John reveals the new plan. Alexei can't find Yelena. Yelena has a private conversation with Bob. Yelena seems to be erased. Bucky and John restrain Alexei. Bucky and John restrain Alexei. Yelena is still alive. Yelena witnesses the same event from her past she witnessed earlier on in the film. Someone attacks present-day Yelena. Yelena calls out for Bob. Yelena protects someone from harm. Yelena shoots a mirror to attempt an escape from wherever she currently is. Yelena fights herself. Ava proposes a theory. John agrees with Ava's theory, whereas Bucky does not. Alexei asks John to reveal what he saw. Yelena and Bob reunite. Yelena mentions an event that occurred earlier on in the film. Bob mentions the Void. Bob seems to have given up fighting. Yelena witnesses an event from Bob's past. Yelena apologizes to Bob. Yelena gives Bob some advice. Yelena asks Bob to help her escape. Multiple objects attack Bob and Yelena. Bob believes he's to blame for this. The Thunderbolts save Yelena and Bob. Yelena checks in with the other Thunderbolts. Bob thanks the Thunderbolts. Bob believes the void is endless. Yelena asks Bob to show her and the other Thunderbolts the worst room. John attacks someone. A chicken costume attacks Bob and the Thunderbolts. Bucky punches this chicken costume. Yelena recognizes the current room she, Bob, and the other Thunderbolts are in. Bob reveals how he became involved in Valentina's treatment. Bob insults himself. Evil Bob attacks the Thunderbolts. Good Bob asks Evil Bob to stop. Evil Bob insults Good Bob. Good Bob works out he is stronger than Evil Bob. Good Bob fights Evil Bob. Yelena asks Good Bob to stop. Alexei helps Yelena escape. Yelena narrowly avoids being injured by multiple objects. Yelena attempts to console Good Bob. The rest of the Thunderbolts escape. The Thunderbolts attempt to help Bob. Bob and the Thunderbolts return to the present. John compliments Bob. Bob forgets what he caused. Yelena checks in with Bob. The Thunderbolts and Bob confront Valentina. Valentina's press conference begins. Valentina introduces the Thunderbolts as the new Avengers. Yelena threatens Valentina. Alexei notices that the new Avengers are now on cereal boxes. A time jump of 14 months occurs. Yelena mentions Sam Wilson wanting to restart the Avengers. Bucky mentions Sam having the shield of Captain America. Bucky and John disagree over John's shield. John mentions the internet. Bucky reveals how his conversation with Sam went. John misunderstands Yelena until she corrects him. Alexei insults Sam. Alexei mentions copyright. An alarm sounds. Bucky convinces Yelena to do multiple things. Bob apologizes to the new Avengers. Bob mentions cleaning the dishes. The new Avengers learn of a shift, and this ship has the famous 4 logo on it, and that is my recap of Thunderbolts asterisk. The new Avengers will return in Avengers Doomsday, which releases on the 18th of December 2026. Obviously, as of time of recording, and probably by the time we're seeing this, Avengers Doomsday is currently being filmed, so there is no trailer, and it's December 2026. It's like 18 months away, so of course there's not going to be a trailer for it. But on to the first episode that releases tomorrow. which will release at 11 a.m. GMT, where I will be recapping the 11th Doctor Chronicles Geronimo The End. Here's the trailer for the 11th Doctor Chronicles Geronimo.
From Big Finish Productions.
Hi?
Hello! Have you just used a plasma cutter?
How did you know I was...
Excellent. I'm going to assume from your general look of surprise that's a yes. Can I borrow it?
Sorry, what? Who are you?
I'm the Doctor, and this is a poem.
Doctor Who, the 11th Doctor Chronicles, Geronimo.
Welcome aboard, Valerie.
This is us.
Oh, you bet it, sir. Venice in the 18th century.
His name is Captain Tomasi, and he has made his desires in this matter quite clear. I am to die before the clocks strike midnight.
You've met him?
Oh, yeah. Tried to convince me to kill Lady Secure.
What did you say?
Oh, you know. Hi, Captain Stranger. I'd love to murder a woman I'd never met for you. I'm such a big old psychopath. What do you think I said?
No?
Obviously no. Two Hearts? He's a Time Lord.
I thought they were all dead.
They will be if you don't help him.
Get the door closed! Gotta ring the mechanism!
Luna! What the... Where did it go? What was that thing?
She's about to be obliterated with a very loud bang.
Any chance we could not explode?
Oh, yeah, we'll be not exploding all the way till boom time.
That's not what I meant!
You need to understand, if you do anything that endangers my ship or crew, we are going to have a very serious problem.
Likewise, Captain. Which should worry you, because right now my crew is over there dying, and you're standing in my way.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
I found her, Doctor. I found Clara Oswald.
That was the trailer for the 11th Doctor Chronicles Geronimo, because in tomorrow's first episode, which will release at 11 a.m. GMT, I'll be recapping the third and final story of the 11th Doctor Chronicles Geronimo, titled The End. We're back to this episode. Let me know what you thought of Thunderbolts if you watched it. My recap, if you didn't, could be your thoughts on both of those in the comments below. As well as anything else you want to cover the channel, such as any previews or recaps, put those in the comments below as well. Remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. GMT for my recap of the 11th Doctor Chronicles Geronimo The End. See you then. Goodbye.